Hello, everyone. We are live. Today we're going to be going live with Joey Bilotich. He is a vegan bodybuilder who's here to just spread the truth to everyone out there. We're going to jump him on right now. Let's get him. Let's see where he's at. Thank you for joining us. Hey. Let me grab him. Joey. All right. Hi. Awesome. Joey, did you get the invite? Make sure. Here we go. Okay. Can you hey, if you hit request to join, hit request to join. I just invited you. Oh, yeah. You're on a computer. If you want to grab your phone, that will be easier. Thanks, guys, for the hold up. We'll be on in just a second. Yay! Hello,
There we
hello.
go. How we doing?
Hi. Nice to see you, Joey.
Likewise, likewise.
Amazing. I'm so glad you're able to jump on here. Everyone who's just joining, there were some people that got to hear the introduction, but everyone, this is Joey Bilotich,
There you
right?
go. Got it right.
What
Yes.
what what is your background? Where are you from?
That is a Serbian background. I'm a combination of a lot of European, but Serbian is where the last name comes from.
Ah, okay. Amazing. Well, everyone, this is Joey. He is a vegan bodybuilder. He has been blowing up all over the internet. I wanted to jump you on here because I wanted to share your story. I wanted to
Mm,
hear from the beginning, like why you jumped into this lifestyle, like what you were doing prior, and then we'll just have fun. We'll play around. And then we'll
for
take some
sure.
questions. I had some questions I'll ask later on from people through our story, so we'll get to that in a little bit. But yeah, let's hear it from the beginning. Where were you at
What
before? Where are you at now?
I got you. And first and foremost, thank you for having me on here. I'm super excited. Love your content as well. I've been checking it out, and it's definitely end goal to have live in the tropics with a bunch of vegan children. So that's amazing. But yeah, so my story a little bit. I'll go back to when I was my life kind of started in college, right? I was just kind of not very conscious, not really thinking. In college, I hit an all-time low. Got my heart broken, just lost a lot of confidence,
Mm,
was drinking my life away in college, and I hit an all-time low to the point where I had to change something, right? And so I ended up, my brother, who'd recently changed his life recently through self-development, ended up hopping on that, researching how do I improve my life, fitness, spirituality, nutrition, all of it. So I dropped out of school, went all in on that, and really turned my life around. For about
mm,
3 years straight, I was just focused on self-development. I was starting businesses, some more successful than others. And then along this path, my brother, who was always kind of my guide as far as like self development goes, he goes vegan. And before this,
mm.
I was indoctrinated into the primal bro culture. I was doing meat, raw meat, tried carnivore, fell off on that, so I went back to just like primal. Yeah,
Wow.
I was heavy meat based pretty much the entire time. Just
Okay.
because all the people I looked up to, that's what you're supposed to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And we all always looked at vegans as just weak. Uh, you know, just the philosophy was just either far left or just people. It was associated with just something that I didn't see as like strong and masculine, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so I thought he took some sort of psychedelic compound or something, and and I'm a pretty logical person, and so is he. And so when we debate, we get to the core of things, we get to the truth. Um,
Mm-hmm.
And so, we were going back and forth with nutrition, had to pull up some of the science. I found that I could not argue with him with logic and keep up at least at minimal. Vegan was just as healthy as, meat based, right? To where you could
Right.
be just as healthy. And then
Right,
because
right.
of that, the
And
ethical
wait, can
implications,
I pause you for one
of
second?
course, of
So when you're
course.
saying meat based, does that mean you're eating primarily meat and that's it? Or are you incorporating vegetables? Are you incorporating fruits? Are you incorporating grains? Like, what did that look like for you?
It was a range. It was always a range. But there was a time where I was pretty much all carnivore, all primal. But overall, it would be like, just a pound, at least a pound and a half of ground beef a day. I would have veggies here and there, avocados, but primarily meat, a lot of milk.
Okay.
Um, and it was just a lot of animal products. Minimum, like maybe like 80%, 70% animal products, 30% plant products.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and going back to the what when I found it could be just as healthy, the ethical implications came up to where, okay, if I can be just as healthy and it's causing harm, the
Mm,
direct harm to these animals, where's the justification? Right. Well, first, like, what value do you give these animals? Are they worth more than your taste buds? Well, I would say yes, right? And so, once you let your brain go down the logical path,
mm-hmm.
you get to the truth, which is just completely wrong to do what we do to animals, when we don't have to.
Mm,
And so after, there was a little back and forth for a while, but eventually I was like, okay, you know what, I'll try it. And immediately once I tried it, I felt the weight lifted off my spirit. I felt like, wow, like
mm,
I'm stopped making excuses for myself and just looking at things logically. And then I watched Dominion. 5 minutes into that, or I just broke down crying and told
oh,
myself I was never eating animal products again. It was
oh,
it was just my soul felt so in pain knowing that I had done that for so many years
mm,
without even thinking about it.
mm-hmm.
Train's coming by, so I'm gonna get a little closer. And and then I just got super passionate about it. I got super passionate about it because I realized how big of a blind spot it was in our culture, and how much suffering was going on needlessly. Which is why I committed to the bodybuilding competition in the beginning. I was like, okay, I know that, like, the reason that was I wouldn't go plant based in the beginning was because I thought I needed to be strong, and so if I can eliminate that, long story short, I lost my first one. I ended up winning the second one. And
Mm-hmm.
before the second one, I had realized that along the path, my intentions went from helping the animals to pride, halfway
Mm,
through. And driving there, I realized that, like, it wasn't even me that realized that. Like, I felt like, God, the universe, whatever,
mm-hmm.
put an image of my mind of the animals, specifically a baby cow, like looking
Mm-hmm.
at me like, don't forget about why you started this. And at that point, I was just put my suffering and my own ego and pride in comparison to what actually happens out there to the animals. And I again broke down crying, and I was like, okay, if I win this competition, um I'm going to carry out the message that needs to be spread, right? I'm going to stop being
Wow.
afraid. I'm going to stop being afraid of spreading the light, stop being afraid of spreading the truth, because um again, put my own ego in comparison to what's actually happening out there, and it's just uncomparable. but
Yes.
from that point is kind of when I started my vegan, like, content journey. I was still posting here and there, but I was like, damn, like, this is what I'm meant to do. I need to spread this. And I kind of made a commitment to God too at that point, say, hey, if I win this,
Mm.
um, you're gonna do that. And I did win it. So that's
Amazing. And
and
that
then it's just
when was
right,
that? When did that take place? When did you win your competition?
not long ago. That was April 18th, so just about 2 months ago.
What?
Yeah, so I've only been posting vegan content for about 2 months.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. It's so cool because you're literally listening to the message from God who's telling you what to do, and you're doing it and you're seeing all the success because you're
For
living,
sure.
you're bringing the mission forth, you
For sure.
know. Yeah, yeah.
And I think that, like, a big thing along the mission is, like, right when I started making vegan content, it was about the animals. I was like, that was my forefront. And then after getting a lot of followers and likes and everything, I started to drift back into pride, drift back into the numbers and the good things people were saying about me. And then, I had a good trip with my brother, this like a good vacation, and we I kind of was able to reflect and see how pride had creeped in again. And realign myself with actually spreading the message that needs to be spread. And I think something that like helps people the message get through is the intentions behind your words. And so when I'm speaking from a place of genuine desire to help and you know, message kind of, you know, from God, from source, it's a lot, it
Yeah.
hits a lot better versus when it's coming
Yeah.
from, you know, how do I make myself look cool or sound cool? You know, you can't
How do
really,
I
you can't,
look?
yeah, exactly. It doesn't penetrate.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I can definitely resonate with that. And I want to go a little bit deeper into that. You know, I talk a lot about when I get on these interviews with the emotional and spiritual aspect of actually this lifestyle and how that shifts and change you. You know, like for myself, I really was starting on the emotional spiritual path and like slowly but surely I was like, okay, I'm feeling so much better inside. You know,
For
I'm not
sure.
doing these things like I don't want to have self-destructive behaviors. I don't want to eat this way. It just happened like it was like those next steps that happened in my own evolution process. So, can you share with a little bit about me like how you emotionally or spiritually shifted even from just from your own self, not about the animals, but for your own self, like how you felt like was anger leaving, was sadness, like how was that, how did that look like for you?
Yeah. So when I first went vegan, this was like December, almost like 2 years ago. So about 19 months ago ish. Um, I was in the middle of a Muay Thai competition of kickboxing
Mm-hmm.
prep.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing I felt was a much light, my spirit felt lighter. My spirit felt lighter.
Mm-hmm.
Also, my body felt lighter. So that was immediate. What I realized, interestingly, is right when I like made the decision and I let the cognitive dissonance go, I sat down with my brother's dog and I felt an interesting ability to like I realized I was like, wait, there's less of a barrier between us now, right?
Mm.
Because subconsciously I was like accepted the fact that these like animals aren't products. And it's not like it wasn't like a conscious accepting. It's like it's such a subconscious thing, and you could probably relate to this of just you being more in tune with God, with source, whatever you want to call it,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
the inherent act of eating meat is separating, right? I can do this to you because you're not me and we're separate. I can put my will on you, a harmful thing, because that's what I want.
Mm-hmm.
That's inherently, that's the exact opposite of the love of God or the love, you know, the love, true love. And so, you know, I started treating animals and mentally treating the world with more of the golden rule. And that just allowed
Mm-hmm.
me to emanate more of that within my own heart and operate
Mm-hmm.
more from love and abundance. So that's kind of how I felt. I just felt more like spiritually open, spiritually clean,
Beautiful.
aligned.
Beautiful. And did you notice like through, you know, obviously we all go through that detox period, you know, when we're detoxing, you know, animal proteins, junk food, all of it, right, out of our body. Did you notice your emotional state when you were going through those detox places? And I know you just went fruit based too. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know, that's a whole other level because I was vegan
Whole nother
first
level.
and then was raw and like high fat raw and then went fruit based raw and I was like holy moly, the detox levels are so much higher. So I'm curious to see how you emotionally felt through that phase too.
Yeah, the emotion, the biggest emotional thing was like accepting what we're doing as humanity to animals. That was more of like a cognitive emotional thing, but my body just felt amazing. Like I just felt like not tired after I ate anymore, which
Yeah.
was nice. I know, and I hear a lot of people do feel that they like, you know, when they go from eating a lot of meat to not, they feel that there is like a detox period. Or going from normal vegan to raw vegan, there is a
Yeah.
detox period. For me, I don't know why I'd never had it. Right. I've always, the transition was so clean and it was just perfect. And I was like,
That's
wow,
amazing.
I just feel good. But the cognitively like accepting and seeing what we do to animals is absolutely brutal. But
Yeah.
necessary for change.
Yeah. And how are you getting past like all the naysayers and all the, you know, because you were on that car. How do you get past that? Because you know they're gonna say you're not getting your amino acids, you're not getting
Oh,
this, you're not getting your
yeah, yeah.
protein. Like what do you say to that, you know?
So there's kind of like a couple levels. Number one is like, how do I actually like prove them wrong? Which is I just embody. Like that's why I'm like I feel it's so important to go to the gym is because like you say you can't get your protein, then you look at my physique, right? Like what do you like that not a lot of people say that because of my physique. Where if I was extremely malnourished or just had lack of muscle, I'd have to respond to that a lot more. As far as like the naysayers and in the comments and stuff like that, like emotionally, it doesn't affect me anymore at all because
Awesome.
I'm so grounded in the truth, right? Because I
Mm.
don't like there's nothing in my mind or my soul like, is this right? What do people think about this? Because all I feel is the fact that what we are doing is absolutely evil, and it's true. It's the truth that doing what we do to animals for pleasure or for taste is wrong, right? And so
Mm.
when you're like operating from a clear vision like that and clearly grounded in truth, there's no space for people's opinions to come in, because that's not what you're grounded in. You're not grounded in what other people are saying. You're grounded in the truth you get from God, and just the objective truth that it's an abomination. So that doesn't affect me emotionally. I try to, in order to like kind of sway people's minds or get people open minded, the embodiment is huge, and that's the biggest thing. A lot of young men resonate with me. The biggest thing is like they see the conviction, they see the clarity of what I'm saying in it, and they resonate with that, and so they
Right.
can kind of open their mind there. And so I try to live as an example as much as possible and speak from a place of genuineness and truth. And then from there, it's like the scientific stuff. It's like, look at me, look at all the people who are
Yeah,
thriving.
yeah.
It's like I could spend
Yeah.
so much time going into that, but it's like, what can you
Yeah,
do?
yeah, yeah. There's so much time you can spend fighting people that don't really have the ears to hear it. You know what I
Exactly,
mean? Or have
exactly,
experienced it. I always say, have you actually experienced this and have gone through the process? And gone through the process, I don't want to say correctly, but there's a lot of ways, especially in the raw vegan world, or even in the vegan world, where you can do it wrong. I would quote
for
unquote say do
sure,
it wrong. You're
for
food
sure.
combining wrong, you're eating just processed food, you're just living off of like, you know, pasta and tortillas and beans, right?
Not eating
And
enough.
exactly, and you're not eating enough food, period, right? So there's so many things and so many factors that it could be. I want to switch gears just a little bit because I want to go back to that detox period. And I think that, and maybe I'm wrong, but the reason why you didn't have such a crazy detox period probably is because, well, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
22.
I mean, I could be
I'm a
your
baby.
mama.
I'm a baby. You
I
could
could
say
be
it.
your mom. I'm 20, I'm 19 years older than you.
Cheers.
I love it. Yeah. So you're young, but also you're working out. You're working out. So you're able to move the toxins. You're able to move the
Yeah.
acidosis. Do you feel like that was like the huge factor because you didn't have
Yeah.
those times where you're, so weak that you couldn't work out, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, I was training MMA, so I was constantly moving, constantly and lifting. I'm young, healthy. My body fat percentage is great. I have a very healthy body, and I always thought I had IBS my whole life, and I kept cutting things out, cutting things out, cutting things out. Like, besides the meat, I went all the way down to carnivore, and then once I cut out the meat, I was like, oh, my gut's fixed. And so if anything, it was just like it was perfect. It just felt like I was releasing. I was done with the toxins. That's how it felt. Um, but yeah, I do notice a lot of people go through that, and a lot of people ask me those questions on Instagram, and I don't feel the qualifications to answer it because I didn't have to research it and I didn't go through it.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you want to explain a little bit of what that is,
About the detox period?
yeah,
Oh yeah. Well, like I said, I think you probably had a different I mean, every single body is so different, depending on when they go into this lifestyle, their emotional stress, like their environmental and what they actually were eating, prior, is huge. And that did, like for me, like I spent 30 years and I was like the queen of, eating starches galore, fast food galore. I wasn't like a huge meat eater. I would have some, but
yeah,
when I went through my detox, it was pretty brutal, but I was only actually vegan for about, I would say like a year. I was vegetarian before that, but for a year, and I didn't feel amazing, so I went raw. And so I
wow,
was like, I'm gonna just go and I'm gonna do my juice fast. I'm gonna eat nothing but fruit.
yep,
And when I did that, like when you eat like all mono meals for a long time, it moves fast. So I had a lot of cleaning up to do myself just from
mm,
like my own lifestyle, but definitely working out was like a huge factor, and also giving yourself that emotional and spiritual space to be able to
yeah.
go through that process of, because it's really, I mean, maybe you agree, it's like it's a dying of your old self.
For
A
sure.
dying of who you thought you were.
For
Who
sure.
are you without all of that?
Yeah.
Who are you now? Because that was your identity, because everyone is so much wrapped in their identity around food and lifestyle. And what happens when you're not that anymore? Who are you?
Yeah. It's huge. That's one that I can attest I felt is the change of identity. And it didn't happen until I said, yeah, okay, I agree. Like there was just so much fighting and so much fighting, like a literal spirit. Like wasn't even like it didn't even feel like seeing it now, like wasn't even me, my actual thoughts. So much fighting, fighting. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna try it. And then whoosh, I felt like free. And I was
Wow.
like, oh, it felt so good. And then from there it was like it was the change of identity and realizing like the entire world is basically psyops into thinking this is okay. Like when you watch Dominion, you're like, how are we doing this and thinking it's okay? How is my family, my friends, these people who are all great people, how are we like all doing this to animals and thinking it's okay? It's absurd. And
Right.
so I was like, that was a spiritual shock, but the truth was so blatantly clear that I was like, even though it's an identity change, it's like, wow, like again, I said, it's so clearly the truth. So it's at many levels. It's like the physical is like, the actual addiction to meat, and dairy. Then you have the mental, the cognitive aspect of I do this, I eat meat, and the cognitive dissonance. And then you have the spiritual aspect, which I genuinely think energetic forces underlying that are drawing you to eating dead
Mm-hmm.
body parts.
Yeah,
But I think
I
there's
want to
three
talk
levels.
about that because someone's actually writing a question. Does that mean you had an entity attached? So we could take
Hmm,
this in so many places. Whether
for
you had an
sure.
entity, possibly parasites that were, because you said you felt free, right? And
Yeah.
oftentimes when people do a parasite cleanse or they go on this lifestyle, they do eradicate a lot of parasites physically and energetically. Did you ever have that feeling like on that physical part, like your bowels, like all of a sudden you're like, I'm releasing things
Yeah.
from my body that I had was holding on to?
I would say I haven't dug deep into what the actual, like, if it was an individual force that was attached to me or if it was just the collective feeling of evil attached to me. Um, but there's definitely, when you consume flesh and when you are telling yourself it's okay to, do all the horrible things we do to animals, there is something in there that is not of purity and is not of spirit. It is, or good spirit at least. There has to be something in there like for me to allow myself to look at and cognitively think. Am I allowed to say like triggering words on here?
Yeah, go.
Okay, so for me to say that murdering, raping, trafficking, enslaving, and torturing animals when we don't have to is okay, there has to be something in there that is not of goodness, right? And that
Mm-hmm.
is tricking me because none of us actually think it's okay, but we justify it somehow, right?
Well, do you think that I mean, a lot of people don't even know like that's
A
what's
lot of people
happening
don't even
because
know.
when they go to the grocery store, they're not actually seeing what's
Yeah,
happening. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like my children, like my daughter, like immediately when she was little was like, what? These are friends. Like she said to me, I quote, Mom, friends in heaven, or sorry, animals in heaven are our friends. She's like, why? Like, the animals are our friends here. Like, that's how we're supposed to be living. You know what I mean? So in her mind, it doesn't even compute. She's like, what? This is what
right.
happens? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, but I also think that we do know at a subconscious level, which is why it's so triggering to talk about, because people do know if we go into it, our spirit's going to, that literal spirit is
Yeah,
going to be called out for what it's doing. And so
right.
that's why there's so much tension around talking about it. It's not talked about in school, in the news, when, factory farms replace every which area. It's just not at all I
Right.
went 22 years of my life without even hearing the message. Right. And so
Wow.
I think like at a higher level, there's very dark forces inflicting it upon humanity, but at the individual level too, I feel it's like it's keeping us very, again, like when I went vegan, I felt an openness, so it's keeping us very closed, very very spiritually
Mm-hmm.
clogged. And I don't know whether if it's like an individual entity attached to us, but it's a darkness attached at a macro level, and if you're consuming it at an individual
Mm-hmm.
level.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's what I
And
feel like I can confirm.
And then you feel like for the first 20 plus years of your life, it wasn't, you didn't even think about it. Did you ever like deep down think about that?
No,
Or it just never even,
no. It never. I never went past the idea. Oh, this is a pig, but I'm supposed to eat them. I have to eat them. It's normal to eat them.
yeah, yeah,
So no, I never actually went down the path until my brother, because he went vegan after seeing an Earthling Ed discussion on YouTube. And like I said, we're both very logical people. And it's like when presented
yeah,
with logic, we don't say, we don't cope very often. Um,
right.
and so he was like, he's right. He's right. And then he brought that to me and I was like, eventually you're right. And so on and so forth.
It just made sense to you. It just clicked for you right then. You're like, oh, this is logical. This makes
it
sense.
yeah, it clicked to me, but there was still a lot of resistance. Once it clicked to me and I accepted it, but there was still a lot of resistance to get there. A lot of
Right,
illogical claims
right.
and reasoning.
And how is it for your family and friends? Because a lot of times people talk about, when you have this lifestyle shift, like you start losing your friends, or all of a sudden you're not resonating with them. How is that for your family or friends, you going in that direction? Were they supportive
Yeah.
of you?
I'll hit my friends first. For me, I'm very I'm very selective in my friends, and I'm very like, just when I'm choosing a friendship, I'm I've never be friends with someone who I feel like I can't speak my truth around, right? And so it's like, if I were to come to my friends and speak about it and they were to, stop being friends with me, that's not someone who I need in my life anyways in the
Right,
long term.
right.
And so that's not happened. I haven't lost any friends whatsoever, and I talk about it with them quite often. I have a couple of them have gone vegan. My brother's actually watching this live video right now too.
Yay.
And so he just had a friend who just watched 5 minutes of Dominion went vegan. And so for me, I feel very just at peace in the sense of I can speak what I want to speak. If I lose friends or family because of that, there's nothing you can do. I can't trade, friends. I can't say, hey, I'm not going to speak the truth because this family member doesn't want me to, or because this friend doesn't want me
Mm-hmm.
to. Now, as
Mm-hmm.
far as family goes, there was definitely a lot more tension in the beginning. Right now, my most of my immediate family is vegan. My dad, I have four siblings. My mom's right on the edge. She wants, like, she agrees with us, but she'll still eat stuff around other family members, which
Mm-hmm.
I'm still, we're still working on that. But
Mm-hmm.
the grandparents, none of them are, right? None of it's, and I think that goes to show like the deep ingraining of it. It's like, I feel like the younger you are, the more the easier it is to go, because you haven't been culturally and spiritually ingrained for so long.
Right.
So yeah, that's I'm very blessed though that like my immediate family is like, that's so nice. And I talk to people who are like I was at the wellness retreat this past week. I talked to people who their family is not. I'm like, that's like, you have to sit around the dinner table every night and watch people consume like flesh, knowing what happens to it.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, that I empathize with those people, and I think to give those people hope, I think that
Yeah.
we're definitely turning towards a vegan world. At least on the shift, on the trajectory. I feel it. A lot of other people
Right.
feel it, who are an influence, and so yeah. But
Yeah.
that's what I have to say about friends and family.
Ah, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I can totally relate to everything that you're talking about, and just when that shift happens with you, and allowing your family to see the new you and see who you are, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Because and them usually if they're family, they're close, they're going to accept your decision and where you go, and I feel the same way. You just got to keep being in your truth, and I love that you're just like, you're stating your truth, you're stating who you are, and that's the most that matters, you know what I mean? Is like, you're not hiding behind something else, right? You're
Yeah.
speaking your truth. And I want to share a little bit about what made you decide to go, I guess, are you fruit based or raw?
Yeah.
Like,
Food
what,
based.
when did that happen? Like, tell me that shift.
So during my bodybuilding prep, I followed someone called Jack Wallen, and we're pretty, Jack, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah,
You
yeah,
mentioned, you did a podcast with him. I was gonna mention that,
yeah, yeah.
and so I saw his fruit journey, and I like, he was making the points about how like fruit's the only thing that wants to be eaten. It's natural. It looks great to us automatically. Just all his points. I was like, he's right. He's right. He's right. And I was like, wow. I was DMing him a little bit, like, after the competition, I want to try fruit based, because for bodybuilding, having like, I just wasn't ready to make that shift. I was like, let me just get this pro card to prove we don't eat animals. And so that was like, I want to do that a long time ago. And then once I won the bodybuilding competition, I was like, okay, I can afford, a transition like this right now. And yeah, it was just all the points that he had made about it that made so much sense. And when I thought about it, like my soul was feeling called to it too. And I was like, all right, let me try it. And then boom, that unlocked another level of energy. That was crazy. And I've been on a high ever since.
Yeah, yeah. Tell me about it. Like, what does that look like
Oh,
for you? Like, with your
oh,
workouts, with everything, what does like that day look like on a fruit-based diet? Because no one ever believes me. They're like, you're just on a sugar rush. I'm like,
no.
no.
No. It's like for the first time I felt like I was eating like food was like energizing instead of being like, okay, now I gotta break my fast and feel sluggish. It was like, wow, I get to feel like 24/7, like energized all the time and just very spiritually connected. And so
Mm,
for me, and what I recently learned is the reason like a lot of people would feel like, oh, when I eat too much food, I feel a sugar rush is because they have so much fats in their system, right?
yes.
Destroying
Yeah.
the insulin sensitivity. And so that was an interesting realization I realized at the wellness retreat because it is true. Like if you have a big steak and you have a bunch of fruit, you're going to feel an insulin spike. And so, yeah, it's basically 24/7 feeling at your best. I don't feel the need for caffeine anymore, even though I am having a cup of cacao right now. I don't feel the need for caffeine stimulants. I don't feel driven towards them because I just feel clean, smooth energy. My workouts are great.
Mm,
Um,
mm.
it's like I can't be more grateful that I feel like I've found the food that humans are supposed to eat.
Amazing. And how is that recovery? The
Oh, it's
recovery
so good.
from, yeah, so like do you have any pain, anything like after you like work out really hard one day? Like how does that feel? Like have you noticed that difference even just going raw or vegan, like that recovery zone?
Yeah, so I haven't thought about it a lot, honestly. I do still feel sore when I go crazy in the gym because I'm able to go a lot harder in the gym. But the biggest thing is the constant energy. And that's what I love, like constant energy physically and mentally.
Yeah.
No crashes as long as I'm staying raw and not going cooked. Um, but recovery, yeah, recovery wise, I mean, I've had no complaints at least for
Beautiful.
recovery at
Beautiful.
all.
The reason why I say this is because, like I talk a lot about pregnancy, I talk a lot about birth,
Yeah.
and like the birth that I had was both of them. My two raw ones were both pain and push free. One was 10 minutes, one was 45 minutes. And I literally was walking around right afterwards. I had like the midwife told me it was the fastest recovery she's ever seen of a uterus, and like she's like, why are you moving around so much? I'm like, I have so much energy. And
Wow.
like the first thing I'm eating is bananas, right?
Wow.
I'm like, give me the potassium. I got some leg cramps. Let's have some bananas. And that's why I never had that crash. That's why the recovery was so quick, just because of adding so much alkalinity into your diet versus the acidity that will create more inflammation, will create more tension. And I think it's very similar. Birth is very similar to even a workout. Like the more you're able to work out, the more you're able to create that strength in your body, that energy, that life force. You're not going to have as much pain, you're not going to have as much recovery rate, and like it's just, you can see it like obviously with you, with you going raw too, like how it's just you have so much energy. It's just like
Sure.
I don't want to call, like my children are the same way. They run like,
I'm a spaz is what I no, I'm just kidding.
you're a spaz.
No, I'm just kidding. But I'm curious to you because I hear a lot of like people criticize the childbearing aspect of being vegan, saying, and of course I know this is like there's a lot of BS within this, but that it's unhealthy for the child, whether that's in the stomach or in the after birth. What's the root of that? And like, is a vegan diet the best for the baby?
I mean, I've had both.
Yeah.
I've had both. Yes, I mean, in my own experiences, I've seen such a difference in from
Mm,
eating, standard American diet, eating meat in one pregnancy, to literally feeling low, having inflammation, having nausea, having lots of weight gain, over like 68 pounds I gained, to
wow.
38-hour long labor. The labor was painful. The birth wasn't as painful. And then the recovery again was really low. Like it was just so hard, right? To going from that to actually cleaning up my diet, taking 2 years to prepare emotionally, spiritually, and physically, like much like you, like God told me, he was like, that, like to me, birth is not designed to hurt. Like, why would
Hmm.
God have people coming into the earth, the first thing that they feel, the child feels, is pain?
Hmm.
You know, why is that thing, the first thing is like, oh, mommy's in pain, why does this have to be a painful experience? And so when God told me, you're going to clean up, we're going to go through this purification process, you know, I didn't expect to have the birth that I did, but when I did, I was like, oh, this makes so much sense. I had so
Wow.
much energy. I was working out at 5 a.m. My whole pregnancy with my first raw one, you know, I just felt so good. I was packing boxes of fruit the day he was born, you
Wow.
know, and I just literally squatted, had him come out, like we're laughing, we're joyful. And like to
Insane.
me, that's what birth is about. My son was a healthy weight. He was happy. He was healthy. He was red as a cherry. He had he was great. Like everybody was healthy. I was healthy. And then
Wow.
I did it again and the same thing. Like it was amazing. You know what I mean? Like it, to me, that is a healthy pregnancy. It is a healthy birth when you can not have any pain, when you can go through the process, you can gain, you know, the weight like that you need, not like the overextension, right? You can be able to work out. You don't have to have inflammation, right? Like
Sure.
all of these things, you know, we have been, like you said, we've been taught like you have to have meat. People say to me, you have to have more iron, you have to have more meat, please have this, please have that. I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I don't need to eat meat to kill life, to bring life.
No, it's
That
worse
was the
for you
biggest
too.
thing. I don't need to kill life to bring life forward,
Yeah.
right? And that's what I did, and it's working fine for me. You know, there's always going to be naysayers and haters, but you know, that's I'm here to absolutely, you know, encourage people that there is another way. There is another way to have birth, to have children in this society, and it doesn't have to come with these other ways.
Yeah. I think that message is enormous. I mean, like I'm obviously not the one who would, speak on it a lot because I haven't gone through it and nor will I ever, but I think like for a lot of especially women, that is something that is on their minds. I know, which is like people propagate so much that it's bad for baby. Like, oh, sure, you can be healthy as a vegan, but what about my baby, right? And it's like I
Yeah,
hear that so much, and
right.
obviously it's fear mongering because okay, what's the best way to get people to stay consuming death is to make them fearful that if they don't, they'll
Right,
have
right.
consequences.
Well, I want to share this because I think people don't understand this so much is that the baby is always going to get probably the best of you, right? So they're
Mm,
always going to be fed, they're always going to be nourished, right? But if you yourself as a mom are able to absorb nutrients properly, because people always say to me, well, as a vegan you're going to be malnourished, you're not going to get all your nourishment, you're not going to get all your minerals, you're not going to get all these things, right? And I'm like, well, they're not understanding that you're not actually um, when you're not receiving those properly, it's because you're malnourished, right? Because you actually have obstructions in your gut that aren't
yeah,
allowing you to absorb food. So if you can absorb food properly, if you can absorb the fruits and the vegetables and all the minerals properly,
yeah.
then the baby's going to get the best of it. You know what
Cheers.
I mean? The baby's
Yeah,
gonna have everything, so the baby is gonna feel good, right? So
yeah.
that is, and you can grow a healthy baby with that. You can grow the baby. Like my babies were, one was 7'8", one was 7'6". So it's in the above average range of actually weight in a baby.
It's
You
and
know?
it makes so much sense. I mean, it's physiologically we don't need meat at all, nor is it really good for us. And so it's
Yeah,
like, why would we need it when we give birth? And why would and also the breast milk has almost no protein in it, right? It's like
five
it's
percent.
yeah 5 to 10%. The psyop it runs so deep at every level, and it's like the more you look into it, the more you realize, wow. Number one is humans are frugivorous at their best, right? We can eat meat, we can eat a lot of other things, and like I super support like other raw vegetables.
Yeah.
But eating a raw, mostly fruit diet is the best for us, right? It's the best for
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
Gosh,
It
and
feels
we're
so
designed for
good.
it. It's so good. We're designed for it. We feel the best off of it. It's just like, and it's so niche is insane. It's so niche, which is
Right, right.
ridiculous.
Well, I
But
mean, it goes back to like Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. What are you what are you eating? You know what I mean?
it
And
goes, yeah.
a lot of people will say, like, a lot of people actually, I got a question and then I'll ask you this is some guy said, well, if if we're supposed to be designed to eat all this fruit, why in the Bible so many times God is telling us the types of meat we can ingest?
You're asking me?
Yeah, somebody
Yeah.
asked that question, like
Yeah.
why
So
is the
there's
Bible specifically saying even after, after the flood, right? Like
yeah.
you can eat meat. So let's go into that a little bit.
So there's a lot of different aspects you can hit that. There's number one is, what is actually meat are they talking about, right? Are they talking about the meat of fruit? Number two is the God of the Old Testament. A lot of people say is not the same God of the New Testament. There's that one. Also, there's so much translation that happens and goes on. And also, we were given permission after the flood, after the fall of man. So you're literally saying, hey, this is the food God gave us in a perfect creation, and this is what the food God gave us after we fell and sin entered the world. And he said the world is no longer perfect and corrupt, and this is our diet now. So let me eat the corrupt diet. It's like, what, like why?
Hmm.
And so there's a lot of aspects of that. I'm not the most educated on the scripture. I've watched Christspiracy. I've looked into it.
Right.
Um, but those are those are all reasons. But the biggest one is like, let's look at what we're actually doing without even scripture in this. Let's
Right,
look
right,
at
right.
let's look what we're doing to these animals, which we all inherently feel to kick a dog or to unnecessarily harm an animal, especially when we're children. We feel it's wrong in the name of taste, in the name of pleasure, and it is for taste because we don't need it. And it's like that's just such an inherent violation of the golden rule. So, and it's
Hmm.
inherently evil to cause unnecessary harm to innocent beings for our own pleasure. That's just like that's so wrong. And so it's like,
Hmm.
my guy Cam Waters, he's going to be so much more qualified to actually go into the scripture, and there's a lot
Yeah,
to
yeah.
go into there. But I
Yeah,
rather
we're
wouldn't.
actually going to do an interview about that. That's so
Oh,
funny.
he's amazing. That's exciting. But I'm just not the one who's dug into
Yeah,
the scripture enough to get the actual text. But the logic there, I'm able to use logic and just say, okay, in the perfect world in Eden and also in heaven, it says in the Bible that we're going to be not eating animals, and so why would we not move towards that path? I mean,
right.
it's very simple.
Right. Oh, here's another question. Someone says, "Are you paid by Bill Gates
For sure. I like that one.
and that movement?"
I like that one. I mean, I think the reason, and it's a good question because I mean, you do want to look at, hey, what is the agenda of the ones in power who have the most power, and it's like people forget that Bill Gates lives on this planet too, right? And people forget that these people need to have an Earth to live on, and if we're absolutely destroying the Earth at every level, then he's gone too. And they need humanity. The elites need humanity to stay around, and so. I think those are 100% going to be better than meats. But I would still rather eat. Uh, I still don't think the pinnacle of health. Like you can be healthy on them, but yeah, it's like the answer is because we're absolutely destroying our planet, and if we keep up this rate of animal consumption, there's not going to be a planet for us to live on. So,
Hmm. Hmm. Well, they're
that's
cutting all the trees just to make it for the field, for the farms, for the
yeah, and I mean,
animals.
it's like not Christspiracy, Seaspiracy and Cowspiracy. And if you watch that, you're like, something's got to change. Something's got to change.
Right, right, right. And then another question people ask, well, how is there enough fruit and vegetables right now to be able to feed everyone?
Yes, which is yeah, but I think that also, I mean, look how much we subsidize meat. It's like if we just started collectively making more fruit, making it more available. I mean, it's getting expensive now in places like Chicago. And it's like I was over at my buddy Sal's, the Fruit Hunters farm, and it's just like there's fruit on the ground all over Homestead, just
Right,
everywhere, abundant.
right,
There's so much, and so easy to grow. And it's like
right.
if we just started optimizing for that, the whole world could eat fruit, without
Yes,
a doubt. And I mean,
yes.
like you said, it's like the crops, or I think you were inferring is that we already have enough crops to feed the world.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I know my husband does syntropic agroforestry, so he's all about
Entropy.
how to plant the food forest back, right? Like how
Yeah.
can we actually provide food in a way that everyone, because obviously people don't feel like they can have it, but everybody's fully sustainable off
Yeah.
of fruits and vegetables. And other people say, well, how do you do that in the winter locations? You know what I mean? Like
That's a good question.
how are you getting your fruit in the winter? And oftentimes people say, how are you going to be able to do it? Like, did you say you're in Chicago, right?
Got it. Yeah.
So how are you gonna get all your fruit in the winter? I mean, I know, but I'm just asking this for the viewers. What's your like plan?
So for me, I am new to the I'm not very agriculturally educated, but I know that I talked to Sal and he said, "Oh yeah, we can if we put the same effort we put in animal ag into fruit agriculture, oh easily." Um,
Yeah.
and partly I think like it is rough in places like Norway that are so cold, and it's like in the sense of if you can't eat fruit and you have to live in survival mode and eat things that that's not the best for us like meats, it's like okay, there's a different argument there, but it's like I could see kind of a movement towards the tropics a little more
Yeah.
for humanity, just because it's like you're in the tropics, you're like this is where we're meant to live. We can don't have to wear clothes. We eat fruits naturally. The air is fresh. The weather's great.
Yeah.
Um, and so it's okay if we're living in an extreme survival environment. Then okay, we're gonna have to resort to survival things. But
Mhm.
like a lot of people aren't, and
We're
I
not.
don't know. I don't know the answer to like the places like Norway. If
Well,
I don't.
well, for you yourself, what are you gonna do during winter?
I
Are you
just
gonna
go.
go south? Is your idea to
It,
go to the tropics? What's
yeah,
your
I'm out of
idea?
here. I'm out of here. 100.
Where do
percent
you
I'm
want to
going. I think
go?
I'm. Well, I'm going full time travel mode now. I realize that I have to like go meet people, go see the world. I'd be much better at spreading the truth if I'm hearing other people's truths and going and meeting them. And so
Cool.
I'm definitely going to Asia coming up soon. I'm thinking Bali, maybe in like 2 weeks from now, um,
Nice.
or Malaysia or Indonesia. They all got, or Indonesia is Bali, or Thailand. They all got great food or great
Yeah.
fruit. And but yeah, I'm not doing. There's no reason to do another summer or winter in Chicago if I don't have to. It's like it's just you. I'm so much less abundant, so much less happy, so much less energized, and it's like I'm out of here. I've been here 22 years, so it's the last one.
Yeah, you're ready to go travel. You got to come
Ready to
over to
go.
Hawaii then.
That's so on the bucket list. That's so on the bucket list.
Yes, yes. We've got Raw Christina here. We've got Dan the Regenerator here. I'm trying to think if there's any more. There's a few families here that are
There's
on
what's his
this.
name? The one who Jack's staying with right now.
Oh, Aaliyah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
definitely want to check out. Are you on the same island as them?
No, 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 no. I'm on Kauai, so I'm on the Garden
Okay.
Island.
That
Yeah,
one's the
so
most beautiful, isn't it, Kauai?
yeah, that
Yeah.
has the most, like, honestly, it has every day of the week you can go to a farmer's market and you can find fresh fruit. So
Oh,
you always
and it's
have
so
papayas, you
beautiful.
always have bananas. Right now we have so much sapote. We
Oh,
have,
Sapote is my favorite.
yeah. Oh, because it's like a sweet potato. It's
Oh, I
so
love it.
good.
I had so much of it at Sal's. It was so
Amazing.
good. So
So
yeah,
if you
Hawaii is definitely on the bucket list
Yeah, yeah, Hawaii is a good place. When you come, you'll have to hit us up and
for
yeah, we'll
sure.
all we'll all commune. I know I talked to Douglas Graham and he was like, "When are you gonna throw like a festival in Hawaii?" I'm like, "It's coming. I want to
Yeah,
bring everyone.
I'm
Professor
there.
Spiro wants to come, Dr. Robert Morris. Have you met him yet?
No, I haven't.
Oh, he's awesome.
I've heard about it. I met Graham at the wellness retreat. What a just pure dude. That was like so enjoyable to talk to him.
Yeah,
And like he has so much wisdom too. So that was
totally.
really cool.
Yeah, and he's a body. I mean, what did he just win? He just won
Wait,
the world
power lifter.
championship.
Yeah, yeah, power
Yeah,
lifter.
I mean, it's incredible. It's
It's in
absolutely incredible. You can be that
yeah.
strong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's he's just showing the truth. I think that was probably his motive too for doing it, was saying, "Hey, like I'm speaking on this diet, and everyone thinks you can't be strong on it." And so, as my dad, and so he's like, "Okay, let me prove him wrong." Which so he won a world championship.
Yeah, yeah. And what's your plan? Are you going to continue to do bodybuilding? And what is your plan
No,
in the future?
no, I wouldn't prove my point any further than I already have, maybe slightly. I'd have to hop on steroids to get to the next level. And then it would be less about the veganism and more it'd be about the steroids. So the point is already proven, especially with the other vegan winning in that competition. And
Yeah,
so I'm already like that path was accomplished.
beautiful.
Now it's just going to be spread the mission as most effectively as possible. And so with
Okay.
that, I think maybe me and my brother would do a fight together. Like both of us would do a MMA fight. That would be maybe next year. But right now, I feel like me traveling and meeting people and just spreading the truth. I have so much up here that I love to get out there. And also, I think like the community aspect of it is so important. Like I was talking to a guy today on in the DMs and in the comments who was Like he has 1 million followers on multiple platforms, like head of the primal movement and like the primal bro movement. And I talked to a lot of these different primal bros, and they're all super conscious in all these areas, all seeking truth. But when it comes to the flesh consumption, it's like it's a different thing that they don't want the truth in that aspect. I still good friends with a lot of them. But this guy, he commented, he was like, "Yo, I've actually been open to the vegan and I understand it idea, and I think that I'm seeking the truth, but it seems like we were meant to eat fruit." And I was just mentally thinking, I'm like, if this guy goes vegan and or even fruitarian, like both, and then the other primal bros start to see it and they start to see the truth, because when you see the truth, you see it so crystal clear. If the whole collective movement starts to shift from him to the next guy to the next guy with influence, it like that's when the wave can start to come. Because that's why I was eating meat, because all my favorite influencers were eating meat, and it's like, but there's no backing in it. With veganism, there's so much truth and so much logic in it, and so like I think it'll be like a domino effect when this person goes and this person goes and people start to see it with social media. And I think we're not super far away, maybe 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years
Right.
from a vegan world. But I think the tides are going to start like a domino effect. They're going to start to turn.
Yeah. Are we gonna go back to before the flood?
Yeah, hopefully, right? I mean, I think we're capable. We're capable for
Yes.
sure.
Yes.
There are
Yes.
other things besides veganism I think the world needs to work on, but I think
Absolutely.
veganism is a non-negotiable. It's a foundation,
Yeah. Yeah. And imagine all those people then birthing children in
right?
this reality in
In
that
this
way
reality,
as well.
and
Like
that's
so from the start, they're getting
from the
that from the
start.
start.
That's how we actually build an eating, because it would take time, because a lot of us are already so conditioned other ways, is that from birth, like it would be the next generations that would really get to experience eating on earth.
What's
um
gonna happen? Yeah, to these if all of them start these next generations, what is it gonna look like here? And
yeah,
I
it's
think
gonna be beautiful.
it's gonna be beautiful, and that's what our children want, and that beautiful compassion. My daughter says, like, imagine, mom, if all the animals we could just like sleep next to a cow and pet them and not be afraid.
Oh,
And not be afraid that you're going to get hurt, because truthfully the animals are fearing you,
for
because they're
sure.
afraid that you're going to be slaughtered or killed, but and even humans do fear, because you're like, you've known like what we've done before and it could come back to you,
Yeah,
so it'd
yeah,
be
I think that that's so important. Like the next generation, like that's how we actually create eating, because we've been so conditioned to care more about ourselves than the collective of humanity from birth. Like there's been no teachings in school and even religion to care about the collective,
right.
right? And so and when you care about the collective, when you're operating from a place of how do I help the world? How do I help other people, including the animals? You start to operate at a higher consciousness. You start to actually love life. You get fulfillment,
Mm.
and you can actually make a difference. What's up, Dad? How you doing?
Hey,
It's Instagram Live. Yeah, it's Instagram Live. So I got to
hi,
be
how's it
careful what I
going?
say. Yeah, well, yeah, you
Hi.
generally have to be careful.
How
What
you
you say.
doing? Hi.
You're okay, we're not going. Hi,
I
I'm
think the
Sarah.
world can be vegan soon. I think a big part of it will have to be brought in through violence, but that's just me.
All right,
Good luck, everybody.
that was his little. He's funny. I want him to start a channel, because he has very hot takes. And I think he has a lot to speak on. But I'm a little more grounded in my approach. But his approach
Hey,
matters too. Um,
I see.
but
I'm
yeah,
looking at the comments right now to see if there's any other questions that came in. I know
I
there's a
saw him
lot.
blowing up a little earlier.
We're no longer in survival mode. Yes.
If you guys got any questions, what Gabe's in here. Gabe is the guy who was talking about Syntropy, who I think I want to learn a lot more from when you talk about how to actually build an environment for the world and agriculture for the world, to where everyone could be fed on fruits. Um,
Yes. Yes. You
so
got it. Totally.
yeah,
Totally.
he's awesome, and
Yeah.
he was actually at the wellness retreat with me too. I love you, Gabe. Um,
Amazing.
yeah, anyone
Amazing.
got any questions?
I don't think so. I think that was really fun. We got a lot of interaction, a lot of people on here. And then how do you support people like on the personal level? Do you support people in groups, or like how are you helping
Yeah, good
people?
question. So I'm shifting now. I was doing one-on-one coaching. I'm shifting now because I like it's harder just to help like for four, because I was doing 4 months, help over 4 months. Like, yes, it's purposeful to help that person, but what I really care most about is just the message, and like I'm getting like DMs on a daily basis, being like, wow, I didn't realize how much of a blind spot this was for me of eating
Right.
animals, and like that I feel like is very important. And so also what I feel is very important is getting people in the right direction. And so I'm going to start doing calls, single calls, to where you can just book a call for an hour, whatever you're focused on, whether that's veganism, creating content, self-development. So I'm going to launch that coming up this week, either Thursday or Friday. And then also a community. Yes, we already have a community built out with the one-on-one guys. But for them, I would say just follow me if you're on here, if you don't already, and you'll see the releases of how to get access to that. And then I'm also dropping the plant-based guide. I've spent a good amount of time on that. So if you're transitioning to plant-based, which you can send to friends, family, it's more surface level than like deep raw veganism, just because I want people who
Right.
are transitioning to have an easy transition. So
Yeah.
I'm dropping that, and then yeah, give me a follow, and you'll have all the updates on there.
Yay, amazing. I love that you're able to support people as well as just like, talk and be live here and give your and show your story and your inspiration, but actually helping people on the physical is really, really important too. So that's amazing you're doing that. And
Sure.
yeah, do you have any other things that you want to share with before we close up here?
Thank you for everything you do. I think it's an absolutely beautiful message, and very needed. And yeah, just I think both of us and just everyone along the path of doing their own thing, like even Gabe on here, is such a unique aspect that's necessary for a vegan world. So do you, so do I. And I think that community, collective aspect of everyone, kind of whatever role God has for them, playing their part, is going to be huge in making this difference. So thank you.
Yay, yay. Thank you so much for coming on here. Thank you for sharing your truth, your
For
inspiration,
sure.
your love, your heart, and that beautiful light that you have within you that God has so
Likewise.
blessed you with. So thank you for
Likewise.
jumping on here.
Thank you.
And thank you everyone for watching and being a
Yes.
part
Thank
of
you
this
all.
with us. Without you, giving us the comments, bringing the energy, it's just not the same. So we appreciate you. We're going to be cutting these in little clips here. It's going to be on YouTube. It's going to live on my Instagram as well. So we'll be sharing that with you guys in the next week as I go. I'm traveling today. I'm actually going to the Midwest tonight.
Wow. Where are you going?
I'm going to Nebraska, where I'm from.
Wow. Nice.
Yep,
Nice.
yep. So I
So
gotta go get my fruit haul.
there you
Luckily there's
go.
an Asian market in Omaha that I can go stop at to get some of my exotic fruits.
Amazing. Good for
But
you. Yeah, I'm figuring out. My buddy Sally's sending me some for the meantime before I go to Bali. So I have my tropical fruits, instead of just the farmers market, or the market for now. So
great,
cool. Well, enjoy your
awesome.
trip, and thank you for everything. We'll stay in touch.
Yeah, thank you. Bye
Awesome.
guys.
Much love. See you guys.